Okay, guys, I know the first 2 days were a little bit weird. Today is new stuff, but old stuff at the same time. So this is one of the more straightforward lessons you're going to get. So we're looking at day 3 today. We're looking at the reciprocal trig ratios. Now think about that. Reciprocal is the flip, and your trig ratios, they're talking about your primary trig ratios, sine, cos, tan. So I'm introducing you to 3 new trig ratios, and I'm going to write these down. This is called the cosecant, there we go. This one here is called the secant, and this one here is called the cotangent. Okay, so the cosecant is the reciprocal or the flip of sine. So 1 over sine is equal to the cosecant. So sine theta was opposite over hypotenuse. Cosecant is the flip, so it's hypotenuse over opposite. Okay. Cosecant was adjacent over hypotenuse, so secant is hypotenuse over adjacent, okay? And cotangent, tangent was opposite over adjacent, cotangent is adjacent over opposite. So we have our primary trig ratios and then our reciprocal trig ratios. So you've got these 3 new ones that you have to know and memorize and that we're going to use, okay? Again, if you're making that study formula, I would have them on it. Okay, there is a word problem. I want to get to these ones first. So we're going to first begin with our cosecant of an angle, and I want to find what this angle is. So remember this right here. Let's get to your pen or my pen tool. Okay, remember this one here is your hypotenuse, and this one here would have been your opposite, because cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. Now, if we were to plug this into our calculators, we would need a cosecant button. You don't have one, but because cosecant is equal to the reciprocal of sine, this means that sine of d equals 7 over 10, right? Because sine is opposite over hypotenuse. The opposite was 7, the hypotenuse was 10. So we can take the inverse sine of whatever 7 over 10 is to get our answer. Okay, so take a second, grab your calculator, plug it in, 7 divided by 10 for the inverse sine. I've got am I in degrees? Yes, and I got 44, I got 44.4 degrees, 44.4 degrees, okay? Yes, it's that simple, you did it, okay? Like I said, this one's pretty straightforward. Okay, now to bring it into a different aspect where it's still pretty straightforward, but now we're going to really start to use your cast rule and your reciprocal angles. But again, it all starts to come together, okay? So let's find our exact expressions for all 6 trig ratios for our angle if our point P is -12, -5. All right, so consider your Cartesian plane. -12, -5 would be down here somewhere, okay? That means this is -5, this is -12, and you have to imagine a circle that goes through our point. Okay, so this is our point P. Okay, I'm going to draw my terminal arm. I need to find the angle. I just need to find the exact expressions. Okay, but that would be my angle. So my angle would go all the way over, but I'm only going to focus on this small triangle, the one from the x-axis. Okay. So in order to figure out my trig ratios, I need to know the hypotenuse of this triangle. You can use Pythagorean's theorem. You could also realize that this is one of your special, I don't want to say special triangles, it's a 5, 12, 13 triangle, so this is 13. If you don't believe me, use Pythagorean's theorem and prove it yourself. Pause the video and go look. Okay. So we are actually just writing out all of our trig ratios for this question. So I can do sine of whatever our angle is going to be opposite over hypotenuse. So this is negative 5 over 13. Cos of theta is adjacent over hypotenuse, negative 12 over 13. And tan of our angle is opposite over adjacent, negative 5 over negative 12. Now a negative divided by a negative is positive. Okay, and this makes sense because if you remember your cast rule, C-A-S-T, the only thing that should be positive in this quadrant is tan. But again, its reciprocal is cotangent, so cotangent would also be positive here. Okay, so those are the 3 trig ratios. Now you have to do the other 3 to get all 6. Okay, so the first one is cosecant, and then secant, and then cotangent. Okay, and of course we always put our little angle beside it. Okay, trying to get my thetas in there. Okay, so cosecant is supposed to be hypotenuse over adjacent, which hypotenuse over opposite, which is 13 over negative 12. So 13, oh, sorry, opposite, negative 5. 13 over negative 5, which is great because it should be the reciprocal or the flip of sine. Okay. Secant is the reciprocal of cosecant. So instead of opposite over adjacent over hypotenuse, it's hypotenuse over adjacent. So 13 over negative 12. And cotangent would be adjacent over opposite. So it should be 12 over 5. Okay, I'm ignoring the negative signs. Okay, because we know that they're all positive down there. And that's it. We've listed out the exact expressions for our trig ratios. No decimals needed. Keep it in fraction form. Okay, guys, you finished your all 6 primary and reciprocal trig ratios. Have a good one, and we will see you for the next session.